What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another TLEV Media video. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Mr. E. Make sure to subscribe if you love Universal Studios and Halloween Horror Nights content. We are here at Universal Studios Hollywood because we're about to do a behind the scenes tour for both Monsters 2 and Dead Exposure Death Valley. So why don't you join me on this extraordinary adventure?
TLEV Media, bringing the magic of the theme parks to your home.
From vlogs to interviews, TLEV Media is entertainment for all.
And we are about to head into Monstros for a behind the screens tour. And I cannot wait to see what they have going on in Monstros. I'm very excited for this one. Monstros last year killed it. So Monstros 2 is going to be a lot of fun. And I can't wait to hear what John Marty has to say about this house. So once we made it to the front of Monstros, this is where we were not allowed to film anymore. So from now on, it is photos of Monstros. So Monstros begins with Muerte once again in the front talking to the crowd. He's asking the crowd once again if they remember him, and also talking about the Monstroses that will be inside of this house. So the first monster that we are going to run into is El Charro himself. El Charro is just a normal person who has found himself just done with the world. He is stuck in a bar. He does not want to be around anymore. He's very, very depressed, and he just wants to be rich. He wants to be rich so bad that he is willing to make a deal with the devil himself to be the richest man ever. Of course, he makes the deal with the devil himself, and that is where everything turns wrong. El Charro is no longer a living soul anymore. He is on his own with his horse, and in this first scene, well, we are going to see that deal being made with the devil. And the horse itself, El Charro's horse, will be coming at you in this house. Gosh, this horse itself, like close up, is really gross looking. It is going to be a puppet itself, so it's going to be pushed towards you, of course, with a bunch of horse sounds. And yeah, I can't wait to see this one in action. After this scene, you see all of the riches that El Charro has now been given. And of course, with that, a price is paid. And that price is going to be us ourselves. We are now finding ourselves in the devil's den, and there's no way out. So this scene is going to be all blacklight UV activated. So all this orange is going to be super bright, and we're going to be stuck in this hellish den with El Charro himself. Now after El Charro, we've moved on to El Cadejo. Now, El Cadejo is going to be very much focusing on the wolf-like creature itself. Of course, we're going to be seeing this poster before going in, kind of like the Monstroses maze the year previously. Now, the wolf itself, again, is going to be a puppet. So this maze itself is very much puppet-based, and you know what? They did really well with all of these puppets, with the El Charro puppet, the El Cadejo puppet. It looks really, really good. So the first puppet we're going to see, the first El Cadejo, we're going to see is once we turn the corner of seeing the poster itself, El Cadejo is there to greet us. And then we move on to the next room, and this is going to be crazy because the corners that you are turning, there are just multiple Cadejo puppets, and they are just in the slightest of corners. So as you can see right here, the drapes are to my left, and you're going to be walking straight on from one drape. So I'm walking right now through a drape itself, and then El Cadejo is going to be right there, and you're going to have to be making a quick left turn. So that is going to be so crazy to see how that's going to be. I mean, I've never been through something that like close between a puppet and the next room. And there's not just one, there's multiple parts of this maze like that. And then what I'm showing right here is where we're going to be introduced to El Cucuy himself. Now, I am going to give you guys a little bit of spoilers because I know some of you will probably forget this. But in every part of the Monstrous Mazes, we saw those posters of the characters. We saw them last year. We just saw them with El Cadejo and El Charro. For El Cucuy, it's going to be a faulty poster. Murdy talked about using drapes for this scene. So because of those who are experiencing the house itself and walking through it, they're going to be seeing those two posters. They think the third one is going to be a poster. And after that, well, we start entering this little town with houses that are decorated, and it looks really, really awesome. But we are, again, introduced to another El Cucuy, and this El Cucuy is on the roofs, and they have gone with a completely different look for El Cucuy. Years previous, where we had the El Cucuy maze, he did not look like this, but now they have very much focused on the teeth for El Cucuy. Where we are right now, and here's a picture of John Murdy himself. We're talking about the houses, and we're going to be visiting a family, essentially telling the story. And I believe we'll hear Muerte talking about the story of El Cucuy while we're walking through this house. And we're going to hear the children crying because they can't fall asleep. And that is where we'll see, once again, El Cucuy there to haunt us and the children. And this is where we see the first scene with the children. El Cucuy is going to be underneath the bed. Well, rather, the arms of El Cucuy will be underneath the bed. And it's going to be coming out towards us while you hear the child crying. And once we are done with the house, we now move on to El Cucuy's cave. This is going to be towards a mountaintop. And as you can see, El Cucuy's cave is going to be filled with children's toys. And the best part of this is where we run into the El Cucuy puppet. Now, this puppet is beautiful. As you can see inside El Cucuy's mouth, there are bits and pieces of multiple people. But look at those teeth and the red eyes of El Cucuy. This is going to be so awesome. It's going to pop right in front of you. You're not going to know what you're going to be able to do. You're going to have to just turn right and hope for the best that El Cucuy is not going to come for you. So as we're heading down to Dead Exposure to do the behind the screens there, I wanted to stop and see the Murder of Crow's little setup and details that are coming in, because this was not here last time. And man, it looks awesome. This is what I wanted to see. This is, I believe the baby crow is going to be in here. And I'm so happy that it's not just the wall. I mean, this is like the things we just got to wait for them to pull out. And it's out here. And for a spot like this, a space over here, you know, this is perfect. This is going to be awesome. I can't wait. Like, I think it's going to be an animatronic, like right there in the middle. So, oh man, I cannot wait to see the Murder of Crows. We are heading over now to Dead Exposure Death Valley. I cannot wait to see this one. This is the one I'm so hyped to see. So let's get to it. This is the first time seeing the facade in person. And man, I can't wait. Here we go.
So this is Dead Exposure Death Valley. This is an original house. It's loosely inspired by the Dead Exposure houses in the sister park. Universal Orlando Resort has done. They've done a couple of them over the years. However, that's kind of where the similarities end, because this was a totally different take on all of that. When we were doing research on this, it kind of harkened back in my mind to the, let's see, I don't know if anybody here is going to remember this. Probably not. Maybe even Cold War. Thanks. Okay, well, I had to toss it to somebody. But what happened after the Cold War ended and no longer there were these two superpowers is all of these, you know, facilities started cropping up all over different parts of the world. And as the, you know, in our modern era, when the internet came along, there was endless speculation about what's going on with these facilities. Are these secret military research labs? What are they doing in there? It's very similar to like Area 51, right? You know, everybody since the 40s have been trying to figure out what's going on in Area 51. It's probably nothing, you know. But we liked the idea of that and that kind of existential threat of our times, of just like what's taking place, what's happening, what are they researching, what are they building, and we kind of intentionally kept it pretty vague out front. You know, all it says is Research and Development Annex 2246. Doesn't tell you what this place is, what goes on in here. All we know is what we see out front. And what we see out front is that a vehicle with a bunch of warning signs for radioactive materials has crashed through the guard gate and smashed into the front of this facility and punctured a big hole in it. When you're arriving, all the sirens and warnings are going off. So some kind of accident has happened. That's about all you know. And kind of what you learn is as you go through, you get to see what's really taking place inside this particular facility. So we're going to go inside. What's cool about this facade is the way my art director Chris designed it is you get this view, and then when you go inside, you get the opposite view of the vehicle from the other side.
Alrighty, well, thank you for that intro, Mr. Murdy. If you guys haven't met Mr. Murdy, John Murdy himself, very, very nice guy. But now we have entered Dead Exposure Death Valley. This is the one I'm very, very excited for. And as you can see, you will be able to see the front of the van. This is the first thing you see. The lights will be on, you'll hear it beeping, and you're going to hear alarms going through this sort of like Area 51 hidden government building. Now, the first facility that you will be entering, where you're going to be seeing the experiments that they're doing in this secret facility, is the Primate Research Facility. Now, of course, the Primate Research Facility is where they're doing the tests on monkeys. So this monkey right here, this little one, this little chimp, is going to be a puppet monkey, an animatronic one. So it's going to shake up and down, and it's going to move a little towards you. And you're going to hear all of these monkeys going crazy. If you can see on its head, there is actually its brain, and you can see that they are essentially putting these like antennas and wires through the brains. This is part of their experiment. It's going to be, a little scary, I'm going to be honest, like when we're going to hear all the monkeys and chimps screaming like crazy. There's going to be strobe light effects in this scene. So it's going to be an uneasy feeling for sure for this part of the maze. Now, the next room we move on to is actually where we find out that they have been testing on also a gorilla. Now, the gorilla has gotten loose, and the gorilla will be in this scene right here, tearing through what seems to be one of the researchers. And, he's getting a little bit of payback. And, of course, we have to move on to where they do the human experiments. Now, this gave me an uneasy feeling. I know a lot of these are just mannequins, but seeing them wrapped up in bags, in kind of like suction bags, I did not like it one bit. But this is where we're going to be encountering one of our first Dead Exposure superhuman soldiers. He's going to be in a corner, essentially attacking these researchers, these scientists, and on the screen to the side of the zombie itself, you're going to be hearing the commander saying, essentially, kill the program. We need to make sure we compromise all of these zombies and don't let them out. Of course, nothing really goes to plan, and this is the first zombie we run into. So the close-up I have right here, as you can see, this is what the masks are going to look like for the zombies themselves. So it's kind of cool. As you can see, they very much focused on that brain and the wires going into them, and they're gonna have these red eyes. So it's gonna be very, very gross. So we're walking through some of these halls that have these jail cells, and this is where they've kept a lot of the zombies. So of course, zombies are going to come at us from these jail cells. And of course, during this entire time, you're going to be hearing the alarms of the secret facility going off. So this is going to be probably my favorite scene. Well, maybe my second one, because there's another one later in this maze that I'm really excited to see how they do. But in this part of the maze, I saw all the paintings around, and it's a very white room, white building that we are inside. And I told John Murdy, I was like, oh, is it going to be cold in the area we are? I mean, it just gives me those vibes that it's going to be very cold. And he said, well, that's a great observation because we are about to enter the freezer room. And as you can see through this door, this is going to be the freezer where they store all of these zombies. They keep them very solidified and keep them sanctioned if they ever need to work on these bodies once again, freezing them until they need to be worked on. However, these bodies are defrosting. The doors have opened. So while you're walking through this area, pushing through these zombies that are still in these plastic bags, there's going to be some of these zombies attacking you. And here's me with one of my favorite zombies. So we're walking through these tunnels, and of course, there's going to be a zombie coming after us. And the next part we would go to is the Project Galahad Storage Depot. Now, what's interesting about this area, this is what stores the tanks that we saw the big van trying to pick up. That is what we see at the front of the maze, the facade with the van. So what were they trying to pick up? Well, as you can see, they are these bins filled with zombies. And of course, there's not just one, there are multiple bins. And this room was so awesome. It is huge. There are just these zombies coming out of these bins and they're going to be moving. A lot of animatronics in there. And then there's going to be some real zombies coming at you. And this is the final big scene. It's huge in this room. And I just can't wait for you guys to see it in person because there's so much space. I've so surprised that that's what they were able to do over by the Mummy Cube because that is not a huge area for mazes, yet they made this room that is just, I mean, it's wide and you can walk around and it's going to be so awesome. And it's going to be black light activated. UV lights are going to be all over the place. Strobes are going to be going off. I mean, it's going to be hectic for this scene. Yeah.
Luchadores Monstruosos, how has that been? Have the characters been able to train in that area yet?
Yeah.
Because it's all like wrestling themed, so I'm wondering
if, my guy who works with Chris and I on Scare Zones and Park Decor, Pat Quinn, has been pitching that for about 4 years. And he just like, every year I'm just like, what? No, this is too wacky, you know? And then this year I just was like, you know what? The way Lucha Libre has grown, I knew the Luchador cinema, which is a specific genre of Mexican cinema where it's hysterical. It's like they took real famous wrestlers and then made monster movies where they were fighting Frankenstein and Dracula and the werewolf. And so we kind of combined all that together. What was cool about that rehearsal, and I think this might be the first time this has ever happened, where when we first rehearse, nobody's in mask or costume.
Right.
But I could literally walk down that street and go, oh, you're the Frankenstein one, and you're the werewolf one, and you're the... I could tell who everybody was
awesome.
Without any costumes or masks, based purely on their physicality, because our performers, they're all veterans out there. They're all people who've worked for us for a long time. And we encourage them, you know, to develop their own character, their own physicality with our direction. But what's cool with there's two hero wrestlers, and they're like a tag team, and they're fighting all the other monsters. And while they can't do stunts, you know, they can't be like doing dives and stuff but their choreography was awesome. It was like they were grabbing each other by the forearms and swinging each other out, doing all these wrestling type moves. So it had that whole flavor, which was really cool. So I was just like, that's awesome. Just keep doing that. You know, that's great. So it's pretty fun to see it. I think that one's going to be really fun.
Oh, so excited for it. All right, we're about to leave the park, but I did want to stop and check on this Scare Zone before, and I didn't notice that the King and Queen, Queen, King, oh gosh, I keep getting them mixed up. This one's a little darker than that one. It's a darker red than the one over there. So that's kind of cool to finally notice. I did not notice that last time. But yes, our tour has ended, and we are leaving the park. And man, oh man, that was a lot of fun. And well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be it for my time here at Universal Studios Hollywood. I want to thank
Universal Studios Hollywood and Halloween Horror Nights for having us out here for the Behind the Screens tour. It was so much fun to be able to see these original mazes and how beautiful and detailed they look. I cannot wait to see the scare actors in there, and I can't wait to see it all in full form. So again, thank you, Universal, and thank you guys for watching this video and watching all of our videos, because without your support, we would not be able to do any of this. So again, thank you. It's from the bottom of my heart. With all that being said, my name is Mr. E. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, hit that notification bell to be notified every time we post a video. We also got social media, that is TLEV Media, all across the board. So again, see you guys on the next extraordinary adventure.